Hello, all you BC WrestlePod nerds out there, and welcome back to round 2 fight of the Grapple Gurus. This time, we have a bit of a change of scenery as the progressive review team here to cover Progress Wrestling Chapter 179, Las Vegas. I am one half of the Progressive Review Squad, Mikey, and of course, joining me this evening is my British wrestling partner in crime, Mr. A to Z Wrestling himself, and Andrew. Hi, Andrew. It's like, I'm happy that we get to do this show. We did Effie's Big A Brunch on Monday, and now we're here to review another show that happened during the collective. I'm excited. I can't wait.
Yeah, I think if you add our live watch along.
Yep. Watch alongs of Spring Break 9 and Bloodsport. Not to mention all the shows that you've been doing report cards for. Yeah. Mania may be over, but we still got stuff to take care of. Oh my goodness. Well, tonight, as I said, we are both here to review Chapter 179 of Progress Wrestling, thusly titled Vegas or Las Vegas, if you want to use the full title. So, before we get into all of it, and we dissect the matches bit by bit, just to kind of give you an overview, we're going to go over the entire Chapter 179 card, and then afterwards, we are going to preview the next Progress Wrestling show, Chapter 180, which is the Super Strong Style 16 tournament, which we're going to talk about the entrance that we have so far and the championship match that has been announced so far for this show that's happening also in 2 weeks. Actually, it's next weekend. Holy crap. Wrestling never stops. May is also jam-packed with stuff, and then summer schedule will be on and popping too. But before we get into all of that, if you like what you see on the screen, and even if you don't, that is okay. I love you either way, because we want to hear your feedback and comments, whether they are praises and good comments, or if you want to give us your hate mail, because that is also a sign that you're doing something right and people are being haters in the comments and telling you so. So we love it either way. But in all seriousness, any interaction that we get, we love to have conversations with people who agree with us and people who might have differing opinions, which is okay. It's 2025 and as wrestling fans, and we don't need to like the same things. But if these reviews aren't up to your speed, but you want to see what else we got in store here at BC WrestlePod, but you can go on over to the social medias, because we also have short clips from all of our reviews talking about some of the highlights and the lowlights of everything. We also do report cards for all the PLEs, PPVs, and the weekly shows. So we got Raw, NXT, Dynamite, TNA. I'm covering Evolve now, which has been a really fun ride the last couple of weeks. We also got SmackDown, CMLL. We got Collision. And then, of course, we cover all the promotions: WWE, TNA, AEW, GCW, Progress, New Japan, Stardom. We're also covering, what else am I forgetting? Oh, now we're adding Defy into the mix. We have Progress. This Thursday, we are doing our first iteration of, mystery wrestling brought to us by Evil Uno, which is crazy. And then, of course, we also have Canadian wrestling with Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. Listen, we cover a lot of things here, both in the States, but my goal is for us to also include the international brands that don't necessarily get that much coverage, especially some of these smaller, newer promotions like Maple Leaf. We're only about to be at their third pay-per-view ever, which has really been fun to watch this brand grow. And so I'm excited. But we have all the social medias. Go to any social media site at BC WrestlePod. You can find us there. Now, with that out of the way, Andrew, let's get into this. So before we jump into match by match, overall, me, Adolfo, and Minnie were nice enough to watch this the next day, because we were all tired by the time this actually aired. So we watched it the following day. So it was nice to have lunch and watch this together. But this was a pretty short, 2 hour and 45-minute show, which, granted at what time it actually started in Vegas at 11:59 p.m., it got done probably around 2:30, 2 o'clock. So before we dive into the matches and go match by match, Andrew, what were your overall thoughts about Progress Las Vegas?
I mean, I thought it was really fun. You know, I watched this as obviously part of the collective, so it was a madhouse of like all of the indie promotions and the wrestlers, and it was crazy seeing the schedule that many of these wrestlers had. But I thought this was a really fun night. It was great to see a new audience get to see Progress and be there live, because obviously they're out in the UK, so there's a lot of fans that were there in Las Vegas that didn't get to see them. But you could tell that you know the audience that was there knew Progress Wrestling, and they were hyped to get to see it. And we got a lot of familiar names and some new names too that for people that may not be familiar with them.
This was a fun show for sure, and I cannot wait to dive into it. So let us begin. We're going to go match by match. So let's talk about what kicked off Progress Las Vegas, which was a tag team match, which saw Lycos Gym taking on Boisterous Behavior. So look, I'm excited because on paper I'm a big fan of Lycos Gym. You know, both of these men are great, but of course I love man like Drees, and of course the youngest in charge, Leon Slater. I'm just happy to see Leon at any time, anywhere, honestly. But I thought this was a fun tag team match. This is my first time seeing Boisterous Behavior as a tag team in this Progress setting, but I've always known that they teamed up on occasion at the Electric Ballroom and other places as well. I thought this was a fun tag team match. I think it did a good job of showcasing both tag teams and, you know, their style of wrestling. Lycos Gym being more of your traditional catch style of wrestlers, whereas man like Drees and Leon Slater of Boisterous Behavior kind of leaned into more of, well, what we know them for, which is speed, and Leon Slater flying all over the place as well. I actually liked both of these teams. I really enjoyed this match. Andrew, what did you think of our opening bout?
You know, I've become a quick fan of Lycos Gym. They're a phenomenal tag team. I'm really hoping that they're going to get a shot at the Progress Tag Team title soon. I'd like to see them have a little feud with the current champs, Sunshine Machine. Like you, I've never actually seen Boisterous Behavior together. I've seen them in matches, but they've been like multi-person matches, so they've actually been wrestling opposing each other. I've seen them separately in their singles careers. Having seen them, I knew this was going to be a fun match. They all worked really well together in the ring. This, looking back, was probably a runner-up for my match of the night. Tag team matches will always get a little push for me, but I think the main event took the award from them and knocked them down to second place. But this was a really fun match. I thought it was a great way to open it up. They got that energy flowing for the rest of the show, and it was good to see all four of these guys in action.
100% agree. I'm with you. You know, again, I've always known of the individuals that are currently in Progress, but now that we're covering them on a religious basis, if you will call it that, I've also become a big fan of Lycos Gym, of both of them. They impressed the heck out of me during their match at Fix Your Heart, and you know, going up against Boisterous Behavior was also a special treat because we got to see Boisterous Behavior more in a regular tag team sense. And the idea of Lycos Gym versus Sunshine Machine for those Progress Tag Team Championships does entice me a lot, because I think that would be a crazy match. So who knows? We got lots of Progress shows going into the summer, so I would not be surprised if we see Lycos Gym challenging for those tag team titles. But again, I thought this was a really good opening match. It definitely set the tone, especially for a lot of those folks who probably been there for the majority of the day too. Because as we were watching the individual shows, I was like, I think I recognize a lot of these people from the other shows that we have watched that happened within the same day. Oops. So, but this was a fun match for sure, which then leads us into our next match on the card, which was a triple threat for the WXW Championship, in which we have our champion, one called Manders, who has also had a very busy weekend this will. By the way, shout out to Manders for doing the Maki Ito crying spot. That was the beautiful thing to watch, a grown man be with Maki doing that. It was so good. But Manders is defending his WXW Championship in a triple threat against Progress's own Tate Mayfairs, who's being a little more slimy heel since his match with Eddie Dennis over at Fix Your Hearts. And also in this match too is our personal favorite, pop it up in GCW and WWID prospect in Marcus Mathers. I love this man. I don't care what no one says. I enjoyed this match. I think it's just me, and I don't know if you would agree with me on this, Andrew. I feel that the first couple minutes, it took a little bit for these three to kind of find the rhythm with each other to kind of get it. But then once they figured it out, it was all gas, no break. And everyone did what they know how to do. Marcus is flying everywhere. Tate being a little POS heel and just being mean about certain things, trying to get cheap pins, and Manders being Manders and power and throwing. When he takes a person and just drops them onto the top rope and just let them bounce, I'm like, oh gosh, my chest. This was a fun one. Once we got past the first couple of minutes and everyone found their rhythm and, the groove within each other, then it went off without a hitch. What do you think about this championship match for the WXW championship?
I'm always excited when I get to see any of these three guys wrestle. They're all super entertaining in the ring. I think, like you said, they're all very different styles of wrestlers, so they kind of had to set up for kind of how the match was going to flow. But once they got going, this was up there and probably my top 3 matches just for how hard hitting this got. Manders is just a classic powerhouse, and Marcus Mathers, he sells so much so well. And Tate just brings that great British style wrestling, and so you put them all together and it's super entertaining. It was super fun. It was a good mixture of getting to see some familiar faces in GCW, getting to see someone from Progress, obviously bringing in the WXW title. So it was just another case of really highlighting independent wrestling from all around the world, which was great. But this match was a lot of fun, really good, really hard hitting, fast paced at times, and I thought they told it really well.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. Again, I also really love the package that we got, because for those of us that didn't watch where Manders won this championship at, it was really nice to get a recap of, winning this championship when Manders took an excursion to Germany, and then not only won the 16 karat, I believe that's what the tournament was called. He won the tournament and then won the championship proceeding after that too. So that was a lot of fun to watch. But I agree. I love Manders. He is the cowboy I aspire to be. I need him and Hangman Page to get together and see who could be the most cowboy-y wrestler. Also, that match on paper would slap so hard. But again, I love that Tate now is kind of going into more of his character of being a heel now that his story with Eddie Dennis is over. And Marcus is just fantastic. Anytime I see him on the screen, he's just great. All 3 of these men did really, really good. I did get a chuckle out of it when we were watching. Adolfo was mad that Manders' boots are not actual cowboy boots he's wrestling in, which was fun. But I will say, the boys did enjoy the Progress show, because I was like, hey, I need to watch this for the review. And then they watched it while they were playing Magic. So it was a beautiful day together. Nice. But Manders walks out, still your WXW champion. And I look forward to seeing what other challengers might come his way and where we go, especially with Tate when we head to the Electric Ballroom, because Tate's going to be a busy man in the next 2 weeks, which we'll talk about at the end. But before we get into that, so let's talk about this. So initially, when we got the card, we were told that we were going to have a championship match. We were going to have Mr. Axel Tischel defend his championship against Mike D.V. I am not going to pretend I know how to pronounce the last name, because I'm going to Vecchio. I think that's it. Yeah. So Mike D.Vecchio. And unfortunately, we were told that that would not be the case, because Axel Tischel could not make it. So who knows, traveling issues, whatever it is, I was sad. However, Mike would still get to wrestle, but it went from a championship match to, I will say, his opponent knew what he signed up for. He's like, hey, we need you to go out there. You're wrestling Mike V. Can you make him look great while also getting some stuff in? And sure enough, the person that said, yeah, I can do that, was Axel's replacement in Mr. Kudo. I was like, yes, French wrestling come through. So this ended up being Kudo versus Mike D. Vecchio. And let's be honest, this was more a bona fide squash match. Like, this was just Mike throwing throwing Kudo around the ring. Kudo trying his little heart out to get some offense in, but both of these men spent most of the time outside of the ring, and Kudo spent most of this match being thrown into the audience or onto the floor, which was a sight to behold. Also, Mike, call me. That is a big man. That is and there was like, oh, this is Belgian wrestling. I was just like, I'm thinking into the back of my head, I'm like, oh God, I forgot how big Belgian wrestlers can be. I'm just like, we just don't see that often. But I'm like, damn, Mike, you a huge dude. And Kudo, you got a paycheck there. A shout out to you because you stepped up last minute. And you know what? I give this match a little grace because this was a last minute thing where they had to fix it and try to be like, hey, we want Mike to still wrestle, but it's not going to be a firm championship match. But from what I saw from Mike, makes me excited whenever we get that Axel versus Mike match. So, Andrew, what did you think of Kudo versus Mike?
I mean, I'll be honest. When I saw this slide come up, the first time I saw it on Instagram, I thought that was Kevin Knight.
It was like, not Kevin.
And so I was like, wait, is that Kevin Knight? Does he use a different name when he's wrestling in another place? Like, and so I had to go and look it up. But also, I watched this match after I had watched the cluster, Joey Janela's cluster, and the cage match that happened. Mike D was a part of that. If you have not watched that, you think what he did in this was crazy. The stuff he pulled off in that cage match was insane. So go and watch it. It's pretty awesome. This match, though, I thought it was actually really fun. I thought they did a great job. Kuro's more of a high flyer, faster paced wrestler, which worked really well with Mike D's power wrestling. But at the same time, Mike D kind of, and it's weird to say a smaller version, but he kind of makes me think of a slightly smaller version of like Brian Cage, because he's got some of that speed and that high flying ability, but he's also a really strong base wrestler. So, the times he caught Kudo and hit it with some power moves, it was a fun match. I thought it was a good replacement for the fact that we lost a title match. I thought they both got a chance to kind of show up, and they both did. They both took advantage of that opportunity, and it was a good win for Mike D.
Agreed. I'm excited to see. I hope that now that the next couple of shows are back in, the Electric Ballroom, or for Far From Ordinary people in the O2, which has me excited. I'm hoping that we do get that title match between Axel and Mike as well. I think that would be really fun. And again, I thought this was also a fun match. It was really cool. Now I got to go check out that cage match from Cluster F. So that is going to be that's going to be on my list of things to watch this week too, because I'm excited now. You say cage match and Mike is in it. I'm sold.
Pretty crazy. And I will say the spot that Ciclope takes on that is insane. But yeah, it's pretty awesome.
That is wild to me. Shout out to Chris Bay for bringing out -1 into the match too, which was really fun to watch. I was like, yes, Chris Bay. I cried a little bit when he was at Unbreakable and gave his speech too. I'm just like, hopefully when you're cleared, I want to see you back in the ring. I've missed you, Chris. I'm so happy that you are able to get to a place where you can actually walk again, because it's been a rough road for him. And shout out to the wrestling community, wrestlers and fans alike, for coming to, the support, regardless of promotion you're in. It was really nice to watch. But we do leave Kudo and Mike because now, okay, so it has been no secret that me and Andrew have had a little bit of an issue with Miss Nina Samuels and her current championship reign as Progress Women's World Champion. Before I get into all of that, she did say she was going to defend the title at Progress Las Vegas. However, it was originally scheduled just to be Nina versus Rio, but then it became a triple threat because we added Vert Vixen into the mix, who, hey, Vert, I love you here, girl. I'm happy to see you here. She also kills it in Defy too as well, which is super exciting to watch. So this was a triple threat match. Now, Did Nina shake off what me and Andrew were thinking about how we not been liking her as a champion? For me, maybe just a tiny bit, but I still have some issues. I was like, I was like, okay, I'm starting to see a little bit more of the NXT UK Nina Samuels. However, I think because because of this triple threat, it was mostly Rio and Vert Vixen trying to tear each other apart, and Nina was just a poor byproduct in the match, which sucks because she's your champion, and I know that's part of her whole shtick. But honestly, and I hate to say this, Nina, I love you, girl. Progress, don't get mad at us. Like, they're going to cancel us for saying this. I love Nina. I've been following her since NXT UK, but I feel that you could have just had this be a #1 contenders match and I would have been okay with it. I'm just putting it out there. And I don't know what else Nina needs to do to win me over because I love her. I just don't like her as champion right now. And it's not that she's bad in the ring. It's just there's some character choices that I'm not falling in love with, but I'm having a hard time explaining why. And it kind of came out during this match a little bit. Like, slowly she was starting to get to me, but I don't think she did enough for me to kind of push me over the tipping point and be like, okay, I can get behind Nina as the champion right now. I don't know, Andrew, maybe you can help me fill in the blanks. Like, what do you think Nina is missing that needs to push her over the edge?
I'm not sure. I don't know if it's she needs the right foil to kind of operate against, and it's weird because obviously she's got Rio. As far as Nina goes in her title reign, I don't know. There just needs to be something about it because right now there's nothing that's really grabbing my attention. I don't feel like she's outright running from like Rio as a like, oh, I've got to keep her away from me because she's the one that could dethrone me. It just feels like she's doing that to everybody because she doesn't want to take the chance of losing the title. There's a bit of a generic heel champion feel to it. There's just been nothing super enticing, and I think the thing that hurt this match for her, because I thought this was a really good match, but the thing that hurt it as far as Nina goes is the fact that I was much more interested in watching Vert and Rio. They worked really well against each other. On top of that, because I watched Defy and Progress, I've been watching their story in both those promotions because they're at each other's throats because they're both trying to go after titles. They're both at the top of the field. Rio's been appearing in Defy. Vert has been crossing over with Rio. They had multiple matches during the collective, so there's a story there. There's already background. They're building something, so there's something intriguing and something that has me invested. So when I watched this, like you said, I felt like I was watching a Vert Vixen versus Rio match that Nina Samuels was put into, and that's not how you want to feel when that's the champion. You want to feel like these two people are chasing after her title, even if they're getting in each other's way because they're trying to eliminate the other one. There needs to be some involvement there because, like you said, I think it would have been more interesting had it been a #1 contenders match because then it gives them a reason why they're going after that title because now they're going after each other because they want to take that opportunity away. You could have had Nina Samuels be the special guest referee or get involved or something. I don't know, but there's just not that intrigue for her for me. Which, yeah, I don't know what they need to do specifically, but I want to see something new and something interesting.
And, like you said, I actually really like this match. I do. Rio and Vert work very well together. They both took some nasty bumps as they were trying to destroy each other. It's just that it sucked because as a Progress Women's Championship match, it felt like 90%, 95% like #1 contenders match and 5% women's championship triple threat. And again, it's not fair to compare, but triple threats with women's championships over this past weekend have been proven to probably can be show stealers if everyone is compelling enough as a character and y'all put in the work. And unfortunately, Rio and Vert did amazing, and I just feel bad that Nina couldn't get there with it. Now, it seems that especially at the end after the match with Rio delivering her finisher onto Vert, we might be seeing just now Nina having nowhere else to run, Rio versus Nina rematch, 1-on-1. Hopefully, no shenanigans or like have a no DQ type of match. And then hopefully Rio can get it back, because I'm still a little salty about the way that Rio lost her championship to begin with at Unboxing, but hopefully Rio can get it back. And to your point about, having maybe the right foil for Nina, I'm gonna be completely honest. I know she's busy right now in Rev Pro UK, but I think a perfect foil to this would be Kanji. Have her come back, face Nina, because Nina and Kanji have similar styles of wrestling. They have history together on the British UK wrestling scene, as well as a progress history together. So yeah. So
I mean,
that's
I
my
would
thought.
say, if you want to get Nina over, I feel like, especially because the way that Rio lost the title and the things that have been happening, there's a part of me that feels like she's prepping to move on to something else. But if that is the case and they want to keep the title on Nina, give her a match against Rio. Make it something like a no DQ match or something along those lines. So it's really hard hitting and visceral. And let Nina come out on top. You make it a no DQ, so then that way there's no underhandedness because it's just part of the match. But let her take the damage. Let her give it to Rio too, and let her come out like a warrior from it. Like, let us see that side of her. And then you could bring in someone like Kanji, who it's like, Nina beat her biggest threat. She beat the champion. She beat her technically fair and square. She showed how tough she can actually be when she has to be. And then now a new challenger comes in, and it's just like, she's again like, I can't win. Like, these people are just coming after me. And then she has to like face off against somebody else who also, is a legit threat to her. But give us stuff to invest in her, because I want to see more, and I don't want to see a short title reign with her. And I want wrestlers to succeed in their career. Obviously there's times you want them to lose and win and stuff like that, but like, I want their careers to go well. So I don't feel like I'm like, take the title off or put it on somebody else. Like, no, let's find a way to like get more invested, even if it's heat invested. Like, if she's the heel, like, I think it's fine if we don't like her if we don't like her because she's a heel. But you can still be invested in a heel champion. And I think she has it. It's like there's just some element or some piece that's missing, and we just haven't gotten it yet.
No, and when you put that into perspective too, I think that's a really great way of looking at it, because I agree with you. I like Nina as an individual, and I like her as a wrestler, but there's just a certain, I guess the French term is je ne sais quoi, or a component for her that's missing. But I do like the idea of having her be backed into a corner and get into a match with Rio where, no DQ, last woman standing, that allows her to be underhanded, but it's underhanded with a purpose. And then to have her be basically one of the toughest women in progress wrestling right now in Rio, because again, Rio is also an ID prospect, so who knows if she's going to be heading on over to the Fed anytime soon. But I think it would be a really great story and a good turning point for Nina as a character in progress and as a wrestler, to be able to be underhanded in a way that is allowed, and then take some damage, but also give that damage to the strongest woman in progress right now and beat her and to retain the championship. So again, we shall see how the rest of Progress Summer goes, and hopefully we get to start to see more of that, because I like Nina, but I think she needs a decisive win or a aha moment in the ring to be able to be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna hitch myself to this Nina bandwagon here. So we move on from this triple threat championship match into what was too short of a match. I wanted 5 more minutes, but it was late. Everybody had to get to other places, but we have the Proteus Championship scramble match, in which we had our champion Simon Miller defending his championship against Adam Priest, the cheeky bastard himself, Charles Crowley, the gayest superhero in love, and one of my favorite wrestlers right now, Effie, and actor turned wrestler Paul Walter Hauser. I was like, yo, MLW be represented in the house with this one. This was just fun. Okay. I need more Effie and Simon Miller interaction in the ring. Like that had me laughing. Also, I want more Charles Crowley magic tricks. I love it. It's like, I have a magic trick. And just start punching people left and right. Again, I think the only real critique I had is that this was way too short of a match. I was so sad. It was over like in 8 minutes. I was like, no. And then even more of a shocker, Simon Miller is no longer Proteus champion. We have Paul Walter Hauser. I was like, I'm not mad. I'm surprised, but I'm not mad. But I'm here for a Simon Miller, Paul Walter Hauser feud. I'm just going to put it at that. Andrew, what did you think of our scramble match here?
It was chaotic, which I think it was supposed to be. I would love to see, more Effie versus Charles Crowley as well. I think there was just a lot of interesting mixes of personalities that we could get from the people that were in this match. The Adam Priest being the kind of like straight-laced wrestler in the group, and everybody else was just like these very extreme characters. Was fun too. I was shocked that Paul Walter Hauser won, but I kind of love the fact that Simon Miller, who is this wrestling correspondent who loves professional wrestling and got into professional wrestling and like actually has like made it a second career for him, and had this title and has had a actually really good run with it, dropped this title to a professional film actor who also is a wrestling fan, who got to a place where he could be more than just a wrestling fan, and now he's holding a Progress title. So I kind of love that it's not only are we seeing the wonderfulness that is indie wrestling and seeing these people come up either like starting their careers or like basically being people who can be in charge of their careers, but we're seeing people who love the sport that are being able to be involved in it. So that was pretty cool. There's just something that he's just. It's similar to Simon Miller. The joy of what they're doing is just infectious, and to see him get to win that title was pretty fun. I'm interested to see what's going to happen next with this title and how he's going to defend it and where he's going to defend it. But all that being said, it was a fun match. It was a scramble match, and so it had all the spots that you would expect. But I think they had a smart choice of who they put into this match, and it was fun.
100%. And to speak a little bit more about Paul Walter Hauser, like normally when we see celebrities trained to become wrestlers, like we've seen some past celebrities turn wrestlers where they don't take it seriously, they don't put in the work. I like what you said in terms of the comparison between Paul and Simon, and where both of them love what they do and they put in the work. And on various occasions, you and I, together or separately, have seen Paul put in the work. His street fight against Joey Janela on paper, I was like, oh, okay, this is like, no, he went in, he bled, Joey bled, everybody got thrown all over the place. I was like, yo, he earned respect from me. And then me and Adolfo have had a really fun time watching him in MLW as well. Like he has formed for some reason, it just works. I love his partnership he has with Matthew Justice in MLW. Like they have a fun tag team relationship. He is also, always around with Paul London, which has also been fun too. But more importantly, he's been having a partnership with the Suplex Machine himself in Mr. Alex Kane, Mr. Leader of the Boomaye movement. Like he's been putting in the work. He's been putting in it's been great. He's been feuding with the Andersons. It's been really fun to watch. And he's been putting in the work. Homie took a ladder spot at Battle Riot, and I was like, oh, he died. Like, oh no.
And I'll say his finisher, that house arrest move, it looks good. Like it looks good. I was like, dude, that's a legit like looking finisher right there. And he obviously it's partner work, but he flows into it really comfortably. Like I give him credit. He has the interest and the desire to get better, and from everything I've seen, he just gets better and better. So more power to him.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm excited to see where he goes as, Proteus championship. And if Simon Miller will want to come get it back a little bit later. So the tease of that feud could be really fun. But we move on from our scramble match. This was so entertaining to watch. It was just a bloodbath. I was like, Car Noir died. I think Car Noir died in this match. So this was Minoru Suzuki, Murder Grandpa himself, and the Grand Princess 2, might I add. I will never let him forget that he won that title. Taking on the Enigma, the Black Swan of Progress Wrestling, and one of my personal favorite exoticos / weirdos of professional wrestling, Cara Noir. Minoru Suzuki beat the piss out of this man. I was like, well, damn, Cara Noir. I was just like, you can't win them all. That is okay. I'm just excited that Minoru Suzuki is going to all these independent promotions and is just wrecking house everywhere he goes. I was like, well deserved. Give me more.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was a really well done match by both people in the fact that Minoru Suzuki went out and did what he does, but Cara Noir struggled through it but hung in there. And it was such a brutal and rough match, but in all the right ways. They did really well. I think in the collective we got a lot of matches like this where it was like one person was going into the match that favored the other person or knew at least it was going to be really hard to get through that person, and we just saw it was the adversity that they overcame, even if they ended up losing, the fact that they went out on their proverbial sword. And Cara Noir did that, went out there and was just like, nope, you're going to have to just put me in the ground. I'm not going to. And Minoru Suzuki did, head first right into the ground. But Cara Noir had no quit. It was like, you're going to have to knock me out to put me down. And I appreciate it. I loved it. I love that storytelling that we get from that kind of character development.
I thought this was fun, and I like what you said that even though in the loss, Cara Noir powered through because by all intents and purposes, Minoru Suzuki don't play fair, and he gonna hit you hard. This is literally a legend in the Japanese wrestling scene, and at his age, he is still fighting people and doing crazy stuff, like having matches on bullet trains and getting kicked in the face by Meiko Satomura, who is also. That match was so nuts to watch that they were fighting on an actual bullet train, and then Meiko coming out, undressing as the conductor, and then kicking Minoru Suzuki in the face was fantastic. Also, Minoru Suzuki versus Maki Ito is always a pleasure anytime I get to see it too. Minoru Suzuki's out here, and he landed himself as the main wrestler on the latest Defy poster for Fatal Fantasy, which he's being touted to be at. So I'm like, all right, Andrew, are you free this day to do a review? Because now we got to do. I'm like, oh, Lord, here we go. But I do like this. And I was like, At first, I was like, I don't know how I feel about Cara Noir losing. But he still had a strong showing. And I think that does actually give him somewhat of a nice little boost in ability, especially since he's going to be challenging for the Progress Men's Championship at Super Strong Style 16, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But overall, this was just a fun, brutal match. Minoru Suzuki out here murdering birds and Cara Noir struggling through it, not making it easy for Minoru either. I love it. It's great. But now, Andrew, gird the loins, strap in. Woo! Match of the night. Don't care. Match of the night. Oh my goodness. On paper, I knew this was going to be good. This is for the Progress Men's World Championships, where we have our current Progress Men's Champion, Luke Jacobs, taking on the moniker of Now We Play in Michael Oku. God, I could watch these two fight ever. Oh, this was such a good match. This is on my top 10 list. I'm not even going to front, Andrew. This made my top 10 list. I'm like, I want more. I don't know where to start.
I mean, we've had kind of a little bit of build up to this match happening, especially in Progress. We've known that this has been coming. Luke Jacobs, man, currently he's up there with guys like Gabe Kidd. That I'm just like, whatever match he's gonna have is gonna be just brutal, hard hitting, fast paced, like the strongest of strong styles. It's so good, and I look forward to every matchup that he's gonna have. Michael Oku is out here just raising his stock every time he's showing up out there, and this was just it was a similar thing where it was just like Michael Oku was going to have to give it everything he could get, everything he could, go full speed, really pick up, as much momentum as he could if he was going to get past Luke Jacobs. And there was a time I thought this was almost going to be a squash, and then Michael Oku just was like, nope, I'm not quitting now. And then he came back and he had some big moments, especially locking in that half crab a couple of times. And really, like, that fake out when Luke Jacobs was at the rope and he reached and he went to tap and then stopped and grabbed the rope was just so good. It was just like, it was phenomenal wrestling all around. And I agree with commentary on this. Amira, who is not the wrestler Amira that we'd seen throughout the weekend as well, but Michael Oku's manager Amira, is a phenomenal ringside presence. They tell a story really well together, and I love the fact that she was there and basically his bonus support kind of thing, but it wasn't like she wasn't getting involved directly into the match, but she had a presence there.
Right. And yeah. I don't know if it's a fair comparison, but Amira was giving me a better modern version of Miss Elizabeth to Michael Oku, who is, the modern, well, not exact carbon copy, but you know what I'm talking about. Because Miss Elizabeth had such a presence when she was teamed up with, Mr. Macho Man himself and all that. But also, shout out to her, too, because she's slowly getting into the ring. Not too long ago, I want to say a month or two ago, she was representing Rev Pro NCMLL when they were fighting for the vacant women's tag team championships down there. So she can move a little bit, so it's been fun. But no, she works so well as the Miss Elizabeth to Michael Oku. It's so good. I really loved this match. I really, really did. Luke Jacobs does walk out to retain his championship. And all I got to say, Progress is please give me a round 2. I want a round 2 down the line. I want to see these two fight again.
Well,
it was so good.
I'm so excited for the next championship matchup that we're going to get because, man, what those two had at this event just gives me so much excitement for what we're going to get when they meet.
Luke Jacobs is booked and blessed, as I call it, because he also is going to have I already know it's going to be a phenomenal match at Super Strong Style 16, but that is how Progress Vegas ends. Luke Jacob retains the Progress Men's Championship, but man, what a strong bout between these two. And this was a really fun show. This was a nice 2.5-hour show. And by the end of it, I was like, I love Progress Wrestling even more. And for me, too, it was really fun to get, two people who have no idea, who never watched Progress before, but becomes fans of what they saw, too, because Progress puts on good wrestling. And it has a bit of everything. It has your amazing technical bouts. It has the comedy spots. It has the fun things. Progress Las Vegas is what I think of when you have a wrestling show in Vegas. It should be full of amazement, technical skill, and entertainment, and this show gave us a little bit of everything. So Progress Las Vegas, I gave you a B+ on the report card. You had a strong showing out, and I'm looking forward to the next show, which we're going to talk about right now. All right, Andrew, as if Las Vegas wasn't enough, we closed the chapter to chapter 179, and now we enter chapter 180 in next week, which is the Super Strong Style 16. So if anybody who is watching this is unfamiliar, this is a 2-day tournament. Yes, it is a tournament. This is a 2-day tournament, and if I read the rules correctly and went back through my notes that I took when I researched this, the tournament winner gets a championship match for, the championship of their choosing, or the winner gets a championship match against the current champion. So this is a 2-day event. So that means that outside of our tournament matches, we also might be getting some other matches too. I would love to see a Sunshine Machine title defense here at some point in these 2 days. But let's discuss the two things that we know of so far. First, let's talk about this, because we learned at Fix Your Hearts, after beating Trent 7, Car Noir had earned the right to face and to challenge for the Progress Men's Championship at Super Strong Style 16. Now, we had to wait until after Progress Las Vegas to determine if Car Noir will be going up against Luke Jacobs or Michael Oku. Because of the main event of Progress Las Vegas, it will now be Car Noir versus Luke Jacobs for the Progress Men's World Championships. And I am going to need a cigarette after it. I kid you not. Like, I am hyped.
Yeah, I feel like the few matches that we've gotten since Car Noir's return have all been building up to him facing Luke Jacobs. I mean, going against people like Minoru Suzuki and Trent Seven, just been like really kind of like it. It's the training montage of like beating all the people, or at least facing all the people that he has to in order to be the best version of himself, in order to try and beat someone like Luke Jacobs.
Right. And, Car Noir has been in this transitional phase, because before his injury, he just left the craziest feud of Progress when he went up against Spike Trivet, and Trivet took away the Car Noir moniker from him, and then he fought for it in that cage match and won it back. Like, I'm excited to see Luke Jacobs and Car Noir go at it. I think it is going to be a fantastic match. I have no doubt it's going to be a banger. But let's discuss the other thing, and what the majority of our end conversation is going to be about. Let's talk about the participants that we have gotten so far for the Super Strong Style 16 tournament. So as of the time of this recording on Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025 at 8:18 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here in sunny Southern California, we have 15 out of the 16 participants announced. So we are going to go through. I have divided these participants up into groups of 6, and we are going to talk about the order in which these were announced. So starting with the first group of 6 of the Super Strong Style 16 tournament. Of course, here we have our first 6 participants that were announced for this. Some of these were announced at, My Own Destiny back at the end of February. So this is how long we have had all these individuals be announced for. But the first 6 opponents, or the first 6 participants of the tournament, include in the order that they are announced with. Entrant number 1, representing Pro Wrestling Noah in Japan, is Masa Kitamiya. I've been really enjoying Noah, by the way, seeing their wrestlers go all over this place. Sheldon Jean and, the golden boy of Noah, Kaito Kiyomiya, had a banger at MLP not too long ago, which was great. But representing Pro Wrestling Noah, we have Masa Kitamiya, and we also have Jack Morris. So we are getting 2 Pro Wrestling Noah participants in this. Representing Spain is the Spanish superstar himself, Zozaya, which has me excited because I did my research. I saw clips of this kid. I need him and Leon Slater to go up in some round of this, because this, oh my gosh, bodies will be flying. Speaking of which, 4th entrant is the youngest in charge, Mr. Leon Slater. Entrant number 5 is Ethan Allen, who we've seen a little bit of in the last couple of Progress shows that we have. And of course, entrant number 6, Leon Slater's boisterous behavior partner in Man Like Dries. So, just of these 6, and who I know too, I hope to see Noah make it far into the competition, because I've been really enjoying the wrestlers in Noah. But of course, you already know my 3 favorites are Zozaya, Leon and a man like Darius. But I'm really excited to see how the matchups work out, and I'm actually excited to see how these 6 do.
Yeah, there's a few wrestlers in here that have a very, not a very different style, but are a little less strong style, and bring in more aerial styles, things like that. Not that they can't go there, but it'd be interesting to see how they kind of fit in. I'd like to see Leon Slater make it a little bit, just because he's so young and he's been doing so much between TNA and Progress and other promotions. Um, but yeah, I mean, honestly, all of these 6 are going to have a big challenge, because the other contestants that we already know about also some big names. But I'm excited. I love the fact that we're getting a big diverse pool of wrestlers. So I think I have no idea how they're going to match everyone up, but the first round is going to be pretty interesting.
Oh, 100%. And because it's 16 entrants, that means round 1 is going to be 8 matches. Then we go from 16 to 8, then whittle it down to 4, and then to 2, and then there can only be 1. I'm just excited because this is going to be the first, not to say that we haven't had tournaments in the United States in the US-based companies, but to me, this is like the first. Well, no, this is the second actual standard tournament of wrestling where where everybody's on one side of the bracket and we narrow it down in half until there's only one left standing, which makes me super excited. But as you mentioned, Andrew, we also have some heavy hitters and vets into this match too. So let's discuss the second set of 6, which includes, also WWE ID and our personal favorite flying boy, Marcus Mathers. So he is entrant number 7. Entrant number 8 is the British legend and daddy himself, Trent Seven. I am so excited to see Trent in this. I'm not even going to lie. Coming off of splitting and having his tag team of the half of the Smoking Aces in Charlie Sterling is entrant number 9. Entrant number 10, breaking away from his family, is Will Cruz, which makes me excited to see what this big boy can do. So that's going to be entirely fun. Entrant number 11 and 12 is both members of Lycos Gym. So entrant 11 is Kid Lycos, and number 12 is Kid Lycos the second. I'm ready for Trent to slap all these kids around. I'm not even going to lie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you think British strong style, Trent Seven is definitely one of the names that comes up. Honestly, from everyone on the list so far, there's a part of me that really wants to see Will Cruz and Charlie Sterling go pretty far.
Yes.
Because they both recently parted ways with their groups in different manners. But, Charlie Sterling is, it's kind of a bittersweet thing, because, he saw the end of his tag team, but now he's getting to kind of go out on his own, and he kind of had that blessing from his partner. So I want to see him get a nice little push for his singles run. And Will Cruz, he's a young guy. I see him on social media posting up his videos and training videos and everything like that. And he's a beefy boy too, and so I'd really like to see him now kind of go on his own, because I always really liked him as a part of that group. He was the one that stood out to me the most. So I'd like to see him get a nice little push. And I think doing well in this tournament, especially for Will Cruz, he doesn't need to get anywhere near winning it to get a nice push out of this. He just needs to have a little bit of success and have some good matches. So I'd really like to see him get something nice in there. I think it's interesting that we have both members of Lycos Gym in there, as well as the members of Boisterous Behavior. So there could be a couple of friends facing off against each other opportunities. And of course, Marcus Mathers, from watching him in GCW, he has wrestled so many hard hitters, and even though he's predominantly a high flyer, he's built up the calluses to go against someone like a Trent Seven, I think, pretty well. So I'm excited to see how well he's going to do out here too. And it's always fun seeing these folks from other promotions come out and
Oh, 100%. I mean, I'm excited for every single participant. I don't think there's one where I'm like, I'm not so sure, because I am a person that's excited because we get to see, the people we've seen so far in Progress, but I'm excited to become fans of new people I don't know too much about, like our two Noah representatives. So Zaya, I've only seen clips of, but I'm excited to see him in full action. But let's get into our final 3 entrants that we have officially known. So we have the 12 here. Did you just send me something?
Yeah, no, it's all right. Go ahead and go. What should go to next?
No, okay, because I'm going to talk about this too. So I made sure to get everybody that was currently involved. So finally rounding out our last slide, we have entrants 13, 14, and 15. So entrance number 13 is going to be Tate Mayfairs, which is going to be nuts to watch him. Entrant number 14 is the cheeky bastard himself, Charles Crowley. And I'm really excited about this. Entrant number 15, the internet's champion, our favorite bald man on the internet. In the world of ricochets, via Simon Miller, but Simon Miller is entrant number 15th, and I am pumped as all hell. We only have 1 spot remaining, and if they did what they did last year, from what I could read, we are not going to know until the day of the tournament who is entrant number 16. Last year or the year before that, I believe it was British wrestling legend Rampage Brown. So that is a big man. I saw him in NXT UK. I loved him. So I don't know who's going to be entering 16. I'm excited for whoever it is. But yeah, Tate, Charles, and Simon Miller are the last 3 official entrants as of now of this recording of this live stream, entering into this Super Strong Style 16 tournament.
Honestly, from the people that we already have announced, I mean, if I had to pick a tournament winner, I think it might be Tate. I think with where he is and what he could set up for this tournament would be pretty phenomenal. But all 3 of these, I was super excited to see they're involved, especially Simon Miller. Like, the fact that he just lost the title and he's going to get to be in this, like, let him go at least 2 rounds. Because there could be some fun matchups in there. It could be really, really fun.
No, and I can't put my finger quite on it, but okay, so of these 3, yes, I'm going to be honest, I think Tate makes it all the way to the finals. I'm calling it now. I think Tate makes it to the finals. Simon, I would like to see him get to round 2 at least, get to the final 8 before getting knocked out. And Progress has done a job of telling us Charles Crowley's previous history with the last 2 Super Strong Style 16 tournaments he's been in, where he was the first entrant. He was the first round out the first time. He made it to the top 8. I think Charles Crowley makes it to the final 4 before being knocked out. I think he gets the final 4 before being knocked out. And I'm going to be honest, I think Tate knocks him out of the tournament because these 2 also have history as well. I'm just excited because I don't know how they're going to pair everybody up. I don't know who's entrant number 16. I'm just excited for British tournament wrestling, which I have never seen before, but I'm so excited for me to experience our first tournament like this.
Yeah. It's gonna be pretty awesome. I'm excited.
I'm excited. We don't have to wait long because it starts next week. Literally, this tournament kicks off next week. It's a 2-day thing. We are doing the review in 2 weeks. It is bananas. But that does bring us to the end of this Progress review, Andrew. We covered Vegas. We previewed Super Strong Style 16. And, before we sign off, I want to get a little emotional a little bit right now. So I just want to send a shout out to Progress Wrestling, especially their social media team. So full disclosure, when we were planning all the reviews we were going to do over WrestleMania and Collective Weekend, we're like, okay, we have a packed schedule as it is. I don't think not everything is going to make it onto the review schedule. And so then, unfortunately, in our initial thing, we're like, I don't think we're going to be able to manage to fit Progress because, we have schedules of our real lives and things like that going on. And plus, we're already doing a lot. But I want to shout out Progress Wrestling, especially their social media team, for sending an email to us to let us know, hey, we like what you guys are doing. We're excited to hear your thoughts on, the upcoming Super Strong Style 16 tournament. Keep up the good work. Andrew knows this because he was the first person I told before I let the rest of our group know. I was literally losing my mind. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh my God, Senpai noticed me. No, but I want to thank Progress because we've been doing this for 2.5 years. And it seems that this year in our second year, and we're about almost to the halfway point of 2025. It's been really fun watching not just promotions, but also some of the talent to like message us and let us know we're doing a good job. Like also breaking news here. We talked, me and you, Andrew, along with Adolfo, talked about him during our Effie's Big Gay Brunch review. But Anton Voorhees reached out to let us know he loved our review and he thanks for the support and everything. And I'm just like, oh my God, is this what the big like wrestling like channels are like half the time? Because to me, getting an email from Progress and one of the wrestlers that we covered from Effie's Big Gay Brunch reach out to us to let us know they liked our thoughts and want us to, like our work. I'm like, I think we're finally doing something right, Andrew.
Cool.
But yeah, go ahead.
I've said this too, is like one of the things that I've really enjoyed about watching GCW, Progress, Defy, HOG, Wrestling Revolver, all those promotions is first and foremost, we get to see performers who are coming up in their career, trying to find their place. We're also getting to watch people, like Effie and Matt Cardona, and people who have found their place because they've gotten to run their own careers. And so getting to support people that are at those places in their careers is pretty awesome. But on top of that, in the age of social media, there's so many personalities that I've discovered through social media, and then that's what got me into places like GCW. And so getting to support the people that are doing these things and putting on these shows, and so often are overlooked by the mainstream wrestling fans or casual fans because they're not a part of it, like the big two. Being able to support people that are doing that kind of thing, and in my opinion, putting on some of the best wrestling and some of the best shows that are out there is something that just it's really renewed my passion as a wrestling fan. And then yeah, of course, there's going to be moments that are really fun, and I know like other people are getting likes and responses and things like that on their comments and videos and everything, but it is reinvigorating when you have a long week like we just had to have a little bit of interaction with some of these performers or promoters, and it's just nice that we, in this day and age with things like social media, it can be toxic at times, but other times too it can really be uniting fans, uniting performers, uniting promoters, and all that kind of stuff, and so it's really cool place to be, and it's something that really just makes me just like, I'll always support these companies because they're out there doing it. They're doing it for the people that are working the shows and the people who are watching the shows, and like that's like the whole point. And there's just so much support, and I love the fact that places like Progress, GCW, and Defy work so hand in hand together. That we're getting to see like what they can do when there's none of this, like we don't talk about that other side or we compete with them or whatever. It's like, no, we work together and it makes everybody stronger. And I'm really enjoying that. And, I love getting to see all these new performers and these people that are coming up, and I have so much hope for all of them to be able to have the careers that they want to have. So it makes me happy when I get to see them succeed.
100%. And again, it really reinvigorated. And I was like, you know what? I'm glad that we decided to cover, especially this year, more international brands like New Japan, Stardom, Progress, more CMLL, but also dipping our toes into supporting the more independent ones like GCW. Now we're doing a little bit more of Defy and, hitting that trifecta of the independent promotions that we are doing. So it's been really fun. And I can't thank Progress and Wrestling and their social media team enough for those words of encouragement. Because, I I love doing what we do because it's fun, but it's also very nice to get those words from the things that, you know, we're reviewing. So now, if y'all can hook us up with a t-shirt, I'm just kidding. No, but I'm excited. I don't know when or where, but now Progress is a promotion that I want to, you know, represent and support wholeheartedly. And we will find our way over to the Electric Ballroom one of these days, one of these years.
I mean,
Like,
if not, maybe, you know, a future collective, if it's anything like this year again. Like,
me and Andrew will find a way to go out there together. I kid you not. Like, we could make it happen. But that is going to be it for us here at the Progressives review. Before we go, just to remind you that there are 2 more events in the BC Wrestle Pod collective, if you want to call it that, of our own collective of things that we are doing. We got 2 more things in the collective in terms of reviews. Tomorrow evening, Adolfo will be running his own one-man show as he gives us a special CMLL review. I unfortunately have other plans, but Adolfo is going to be holding it down for the Lucha Libre action that was from Viernes Espectacular this past week, as he is also gearing up to preview this Friday's episode where we will have a new CMLL Universal Champion. So that we've been having tournament matches over the last couple of weeks, and we're about to crown the 2025 Universal Champion. It is great. And then we wrap up the BC Wrestle Pod Hell Week Collective with the TNA Unbreakable review. So myself, Will, and our new TNA host, JT, will be covering all the action that went down in Vegas. We have a new TNA International Champion. We have forgotten more matches for Rebellion. And speaking of Rebellion, this will also be the show where we do our predictions, because Rebellion will be happening live in Los Angeles from the Gallon Center at USC this Sunday, April 27th. So it is crazy out here. But that is going to be it for us here. We got to get up on out of here. So thank you so much for tuning in. Andrew and I will be back with another Progress Wrestling review in 2 weeks as we cover the Super Strong Style 16 tournament. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We got more action coming up later this week, but until then, sayonara, adios, and have a good night. Ta-ta for now.